Hello and welcome to Another Day, Another Evil. I'm your host Melissa.
And I'm your host Georgina. Today's episode is going to bring you something a little different. Not quite true crime, but fascinating all the same. It's a story of mathematics, secrecy, impossible odds, and a race against time that might have shortened World War II by years. And this is the story of how the Allies cracked Germany's unbreakable cipher and the man known for it. And until the movie Imitation Game in 2014, Alan Turing's name wasn't widely known. Maybe within the scope of mathematics and cryptanalysis, but definitely not in the wider society. So, Alan Turing was born Alan Matheson Turing on the 23rd of June 1912 to Julius Matheson Turing and Ethel Sarah Turing in London. Due to his father working with the Indian Civil Service, his parents left him and his brother John in the care of foster parents whilst they returned to India for work. Alan was known for his intellect, and when he was 9, his headmistress claimed she thought he was genius. He attended Sherborne School in Dorset, where he received high exam marks, and his private notes even showed a degree-level appreciation on the theory of relativity at the age of 13. Now, I don't know about you, Melissa, but I don't even think I could tell you about the theory of relativity now. Towards the end of his time at Sherborne School, Alan formed a close relationship with fellow student Christopher Markham, who shared his intellectual curiosity. Unfortunately, Christopher died from tuberculosis while still at school, leaving Alan devastated but devoted to scientific study in an attempt to fulfil his lost potential. After graduating from Cambridge University with a first, he worked for the British government's Code and Cipher School part-time before the war, and in 1939 he took a full-time role in Buckinghamshire, where top-secret work was carried out, with the main focus being to crack the Enigma code. So, to understand the challenge this posed, we must first understand the machine. The actual machine looked like a typewriter. And Melissa, for those who aren't old enough to know what this is, do you want to describe one?
So it's essentially like a keyboard, but a fancy keyboard, and the buttons are like raised up, and you input your. I can't really describe it. I'm not very good at describing it.
Like a keyboard and printer all in one.
Yeah, and you put your paper into the typewriter. And you roll it through, and then you type, and the ink is an actual ink, and yeah, it's hard to explain. Google one if you don't know.
But it was what lied beneath. It was one of the most sophisticated encryption systems of its time. Originally developed in World War I by Arthur Scherbius for commercial use, it was adopted by the German military. It was originally cracked by Polish mathematicians, however the Germans then increased the security and changed the cipher daily, and this is what Alan Turing cracked. So I'm going to show you a picture of the device itself to try and help explain, and listeners, it might be worth pulling up a photo, obviously look in the show notes for where to find this, whilst I explain if it is safe to do so. So, putting it simply, each time an operator pressed a key, electrical signals passed through at least 3 wheels, which then developed to 5, and it turned a letter A into the letter L, for example. And then the next time you pressed an A, it would be a T, even if the same letter was next to each other. Once the first rotor turned through all of the 26 positions, the second one would go round, then the third, which led to more than 17,000 different combinations before the process repeated itself. The operator would enter the first letter of the message, and the letter would light up showing what it was being replaced with. And at the other end it would work the same, so you would enter the first letter of the cipher, and the lit up letter would be the letter of the decoded message. Are you with me so far?
So both machines worked in exactly the same way. Okay.
Yeah, so the machines worked exactly the same. You just had to have the starting positions.
Okay, yeah.
Well, to add to the scrambling, there was a plug board which sat between the main rotor and the input and output, which swapped pairs of letters. In earlier models, that meant that up to 6 pairs could be swapped, but later models meant that 10 could be swapped. So the only thing that the operators needed to understand the Enigma machine was the starting position and the order of the rotors, plus the positions of the plugs, and from there, decoding was simple. So everybody within the German everybody who needed the German Enigma machine had the same code. However, the flaw in the Enigma was also this, because thanks to the reflector in the machine, it meant that the decoding was the same as the encoding, just in reverse. It meant that no letter could actually be encoded itself, and with that knowledge, and some guesswork of common phrases, such as nothing to report, or to the group, it was possible to eliminate thousands of rotor positions.
Can you imagine spending hours of your life code breaking for it to be nothing to report? You'd be like, for fuck's sake! I've not slept in 3 days!
I know, can you imagine?
Sorry.
No, you're good. And as I said, they were always working on the Enigma machine to improve it, adding different rotors, so that eventually the Enigma was superseded by the Lorenz. But I'm going to come back to this, so pop a bookmark in it. So let's talk about how it was decoded, and how Alan Turing played a key role in inventing the machine to do this, alongside his colleague Gordon Welshman. He invented the bomb.
What a great name.
I know.
Like there ain't already enough going on in World War II.
So the machine's purpose was simple. It was to rapidly test Enigma settings, and again, as I said, they looked for predictable phrases to give them an idea. The bomb machine itself could eliminate impossible settings at an incredible speed, so what might have taken a person months, it could be done in hours. And you can see how good that could be. There would be around 3,000 to 5,000 Enigma enciphered messages a day. Not all were broken, some took days, some took weeks, and others were broken within 24 hours. And early breaking was crucial if code breakers were to decrypt messages whilst the information was still current. From mid-1940, German Air Force signals could be read, and by late 1940, the machine was decoding all messages sent by the Enigma machines, significantly reducing the codebreakers' work. By early 1942, about 39 intercepted messages were decoded each month. And by 1943, this rose to 84,000, which worked out at 2 every minute. So the Enigma was most critical during the Battle of the Atlantic, which, for those of you that don't know,
I feel like for the amount of time we spent focused on World War II in the UK in school history, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So the Battle of the Atlantic was the longest military campaign during World War II. It was basically a fight for the control of crucial sea routes across the Atlantic, and the ultimate outcome dictated whether the UK would be supplied well enough to survive. Germany aimed to sever the lifeline linking North America to the UK and what was then the Soviet Union by sinking their merchant ships. So remember when I said put a pinpoint in the Lorenz? That is what was broken during the Battle of the Atlantic. By decrypting German naval communications, it meant that convoys could be rerouted from submarines. But the intelligence of the Enigma code being broken needed to remain secret, otherwise Germany would change the system. So unfortunately, some attacks were allowed to happen, and it was the brutal calculus of war, which must have been so difficult, but I imagine that they had to place the importance on the cargo of the ships, not the amount of people, but I don't know how they made decisions like that, so I'm not going to focus on that. In 1936, Turing had invented a hypothetical computing device that came to be known as the Universal Turing Machine. And while working at the National Physical Laboratory, he published a design for an automatic computing engine, which is arguably the forerunner to the modern computer and formalised the concept of an algorithm. In 1950, Turing wrote his famous paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence, where he devised what he called the imitation game, which is now known as the Turing test, to determine whether a machine showing behaviour can truly be called intelligent and exhibit learning ability. This test significantly influenced future AI research. So, back to Alan Turing for a bit. He was known for his eccentricity. He was awarded an OBE in 1945 by King George VI for his services. In 1952, at the age of 40, he was arrested for homosexuality, which of course was illegal back then. He was found guilty of gross indecency and avoided a prison sentence by accepting a chemical castration.
Sorry, is it Italy, Spain? One of them who've just said that they'll castrate rapists?
Oh, please. And 2 years later, on the 8th of June 1954, he was found dead from cyanide poisoning. It was ruled a suicide by an inquest, but as Turing knew so much about cryptanalysis, some theories suggested murder by the Secret Services. His conviction was overturned in 2013, and the Alan Turing Law is now an informal term for a 2017 UK law that retroactively pardoned men cautioned or convicted under historical legislation outlawing homosexual acts. His impact on computer science has been widely acknowledged, but the work of Turing's role in cracking the Enigma code was kept secret until the 1970s, with the full story not being known until the 1990s. It has been estimated that the efforts of Turing and his fellow code breakers shortened the war by several years. And what is certain is that they saved countless lives and helped determine the course and the outcome of the conflict. The break-in of Enigma changed warfare forever. It proved that intelligence could alter the course of history as powerfully as armies or weapons. It accelerated the development of computer machines, and it showed how mathematics, logic, and human persistence could defeat systems that were thought impossible to penetrate. Today, encryption protects everything from banking to private messages. The digital world still lives in the shadow of Enigma. The battle between code makers and code breakers never truly ended. It simply moved online. So that's the interesting life of Alan Turing and his amazing work in World War II. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Another Day, Another Evil.
This show was written and hosted by Melissa and Georgina Scorer.
All of our sources can be found in the show notes.
Stay safe. Goodbye.